want to have a general, just a little chat about some of the ideas of what's going on, and I know that those of you that are hearing the same sound economically, just want to talk about some of the ideas and things that I'm currently working on here, which I think could be something that could easily be expanded. Somebody was sitting with me recently that had a bunch of cash, and now let's just say $10,000, and they were like, well, I've got that for a rainy day. And I'm like, well, what you're not understanding is if you've got $10,000 in cash and 40% inflation kicks in, which is where realistically headed that way, if not went there already, living expenses are definitely going up. I said, your $10,000 has lost 40% of its value, so you've really got $6,000. I said, the problem is a lot of people see the numbers and they think, well, I've got all this money and that's my safety net to help me. It's not a safety net. You have to get out of your head. In inflation scenarios, you have to get numbers out of your head, because while you sleep, you're losing. So I said, in essence, your 10,000 has become 6,000. If we get to 50% inflation, it's now 5,000. Now, and you get the concept. I said, so what you've got to do is get yourself into something that keeps pace with inflation. Now, I'm talking about some folks currently trying to negotiate the use of some land here in Australia to put in container homes. And, those containers, and if anybody's interested in this, you can get on to me. None of this is, it's not my gig. It's just something we want to bless the community and people with. Cheap container homes can be made for under $5,000 easily, including the price of the container. To put anything that's low income. Now, people say, well, gee, low income housing, we're going to end up with drug addicts in there. That's not what will happen. We are about to see good, solid families being turned out of their homes with nowhere to go. And here in Australia, there's plenty of room for people to put containers. Parts of Australia, it's north in Australia, people have them in their backyard, it's commonplace. To have a family member living in that, or somebody else that's rented that as a completely viable option. So anyway, I see a container home development. I said, if we get this land, we can put containers on there. Now I'm just generalizing, but say it's $300 a week for rent on a container. I rented one at one point for $200 a week nearly. So say it's $300 a week. You can say, well, 150 of that needs to be paid in cash. 150 of that can be paid in working. We would have a flea market, produce market that would be established there as well. And those people that are, if it's an older person, they can work the flea market to work off some of their rent. People can barter their goods. So if you can't pay your rent, maybe somebody would want to give their car for, 6 months worth of rent or something, and things like that, because it won't be any use to them necessarily. I mean, I'm giving an extreme example, but it's the concept I want you to catch if you're interested. So, in the Bible, I think it was in Joseph, when God spoke about a famine in the land, and Pharaoh made him a ruler. He stockpiled grain, and then when the famine came, they opened up the storehouses of grain, and the Egyptian people and even others came and bought and basically bartered, bought their gold and things, and to buy food to eat. And the wealth of the wicked was given to the righteous, in a sense, Joseph. And the Bible talks about the wealth of the wicked being laid up for the righteous. And the fact that you're listening and you can hear that something is happening in this society that's not good tells me that there's some righteousness in you. You're hearing God, whether you want to identify it as that or not. Now be proactive. So you think about that. If we have a community of container homes, low income, that we can help people with. I found a cheap way to do a toilet now, showering. So I found a unit which I'm happy to provide a link for if anyone's interested. Like a grey water from your kitchen and your shower is used to flush your toilet, which is then gone into like a composting type setup, which is portable, which produces methane gas, which you can get a burner for, which they are cooking in their kitchen on the methane gas that's produced by their toilet. You can put garden scraps in it. You can put, like your compost waste from the kitchen into it. Excellent thing. The runoff from that is you're able to water a garden. It's relatively cheap. It's fantastic. And so a basic container, we have that as a bathroom. We have a basic kitchen with a door and a bed and a washing machine even in there, and the grey water from the washing machine can be used. And that's the basic unit. I mean, ultimately, if you wanted to go flasher, we can put a rainwater catchment and things to be able to do that. But anyway, the point being, it's all easily done. As people are in there, think about the community you can build around that, where if it's done right and it's done righteously, and not to oppress people but to bless people, you end up with a flea market where people can come and barter goods, and people can come and buy the goods that people have used to pay rents, and to, if somebody's turfed out of their home, there can be a container there they can put their stuff in to barter, and as they're doing that, it's providing income for them. And food, as they're working in markets, they can get food for those that can't afford it. They can pay for their food by running market stalls and things. So there's a whole enterprise there which we're starting down that road, and I wanted to provoke you. Understand inflation. Again, if you have cash, it is useless. The longer it sits there, it's not useless, but the longer it sits there, the less it's worth. Get it into something. Get it into something that caters to the low income. People think, well, gee, I'll buy a house. You can do that, but I think big houses, people are only going to be able to rent rooms because no one's going to be able to afford to pay for it. Debt. If you have someone that has, I know someone that has a debt of, $50,000, say, just grabbing numbers. That debt is to an organization. It's not pegged to inflation, so it will never get more. As inflation goes up, that debt is reducing. Again, as long as you've got a way to have an income that outpaces inflation. Container homes will outpace inflation. People will always be looking for cheap, low income, low end ways to survive. So, cheap cars. People will need cheap cars to get around. Appliances that are essential appliances and things. Look for essential. But let's take as an example here, a model, a $50,000 loan that this person's had for something that they needed to do. Then that is with a business. And as inflation goes up, the amount of that debt is coming down if they have a way to stay ahead of inflation with their income. Maybe that would come from having income outside of the country that you're in. Or it's just having it in things that are worth it. So say a shipping container. Let's take that as an example. If a shipping container costs you get a deal and it costs you $2,000. Currently they're worth $4,000. But as inflation kicks in, and I've dealt in containers, they have gone up over $1,000 in a year. The value, there's a worldwide shortage of those. So these containers are going up. Everybody wants them because of they're preparing. So containers now are going up in value. So $4,000 inflation comes, now it's $4,500, now it's $5,000, now it's $6,000, but you've invested $2,000. So that $2,000 of yours that you put in, you have an asset that is going up, that people are wanting, and they can use it for a home. They can use it for essential things. And that's the sort of concept what you want to work here. So now what's happening is, if I have a shipping container that I've paid $2,000 for and it's gone up and it's now worth $7,000, then I have a debt, say, of $50,000. Now what's happening, you can see, right? My $2,000 is paying a debt that's $50,000, which is reducing with inflation. So if I'm at 100% inflation, which, you know, I guess if I've got a shipping container that I paid $2,000 for and it's now worth $6,000, then I'm not the greatest, but what's that? 200% increase. So that would be a 200% inflation, but it's enabling me to pay that debt down, and it's becoming that $50,000 is not worth $50,000. Ultimately, it could be a $5,000 debt, even though the numbers are saying $50,000. I hope that's clear. I hope people can grasp that concept. Now, if you're a wage earner and you've got a $50,000 debt, you're in trouble, because wages don't keep pace. The government, your worker, your employer might give you a 5% increase to make it feel like they're doing something to help you with inflation. But in reality, if inflation's gone 50% up and you get a 5% increase, you're not keeping pace. So if you've got a $50,000 debt, you won't be able to pay it. It still stays at $50,000, but you're not having anything that's outpacing inflation to give you an income. So it's costing you more to live. Your groceries are going to be costing you 50% more. Your mortgage is going to be costing you 50% more. So in essence, you won't have the spare cash to pay your $50,000 debt, because now all your groceries are costing you 50% more. Your services, your goods, everything is more. You don't have the extra money. Wages are not a way to survive in an inflation scenario. You have to find ways to get out of a PAYE or wages. Government is a terrible place to be in high inflation, because they can't give you, they'll give you pay increases, but they won't be much. Because remember, in high inflation, government turns to socialism. So they will do socialistic things. So instead of giving you a good pay rise, they put more people on the books. In Venezuela, they had a million government employees. They now have 5 million, and these people just sit and look at the ceiling. They get gift packs once a month with their toothpaste, their soap, and things like that in it. Get out of wages. Start being creative. You can do it. I'm happy to have the conversation. If there's things you think you want to ask the questions. I'll make videos up for everybody that'll answer those questions. And I think we can become experts in this together. Maybe we've never lived it together, but this is a challenge. This is an exciting time. This is not a scary time. It's an exciting time. If you can adapt and you can start to see ways to get ahead, there are ways. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for the wealth of the wicked to become for the righteous. Not that I'm saying everybody's... I'm categorizing the wicked as people who are saying, no, everything will be fine. You know, the government's got this. The government doesn't have this. We are in the middle of watching the currency collapse. We are going to have a collapsed currency. And if you do not hear the call and start to prepare now, you're going to hurt. Start to think of creative ways. Look at your home. If you've got a big home and you don't have the debt, you can look and say, well, gee, we can rent rooms out. I can rent space out outside. I can barter goods for that. I can start to have vegetable gardens, and somebody wants to be in the room. It can be their job to run the vegetable garden and to make sure that they're providing an agreed amount of food every whatever. Start to look at community. How can we live in community? How can we exist in community where bartering is the thing that is providing instead of cash, because cash has lost its value. Goods have not. But make sure it's essential goods that you're bartering, that you're not just getting crazy stuff that, you know, I've now got a 52-inch TV instead of a 48-inch. That can be good, but people are not going to care about TVs when they're trying to pay their bills to stay in a home. You get the concept. I'm just talking generally of things that are coming here. I don't expect these sort of videos to be viral because people are scared. They don't want to hear the reality of it. They don't want to think about change. But you're listening. You've got this far because it's in you to change. Think about it. Think about the prospects of what you can do. If you're not sure, like I've said, send a question. Hey, I got this idea, Scott. Do you think that'll happen? We don't need to keep our secret, our ideas secret. We need to start putting them out there. And those that are hearing the sound and resonate together in community, we're going to come up with ways to protect ourselves, to protect our families and our loved ones. So, as this blows up and the currency collapses, we're ready. Yeah, of course, there's going to be challenges. Of course, it can be scary. But we're not ones to see problems. We're ones to see solutions. You've got the solution because you are the solution. Start to do it. I've been really thrilled with some of the feedback of some of these ones. Danielle, saying, Scott, I'm listening to your videos and I've got vegetables going. And she sent a picture of her I forget what it was now, zucchini or something. Wasn't it some big zucchini she's growing? Fantastic. Start to do those sort of little things that you can do. You're never going to be able to provide for 20 years of prepping. So, as far as saying, I'll store all the food for 10, 20 years, it's not going to happen. Start to look at ways that you can help others and be prepared. Like I've said in other videos, if you've got so much food in your house that your whole street is gone without food and you're big fat and sitting on a pile of food, they're going to kill you. Someone's going to knock you on the head to get it. And are you prepared to kill your neighbors to keep it? No, you're not. So it doesn't need to be that. Let's not function in fear. Function in faith. God's got you. Trust in Him. Trust in what you're feeling inside and follow the peace. Because I can tell you right now, there's a peace that's speaking to you. There's a new and living way. Walk ye in it. That's guiding you and saying, walk this way. Walk this way. Do it. Do it. I'm the voice to say, keep going. Don't let fear incapacitate you. It does. Fear will bring depression. Fear will make it where you don't want to get out of bed in the morning. Fear will make it, you're going to do things and they will fail. You'll do things and some things won't succeed. Learn from it. Keep going. Be a winner. Because you are. If you got this far in the video, you're a winner. Keep going. We're in it together. Let's keep asking the questions. Let's keep winning. And let's understand what inflation looks like, that you can get ahead of it. You can get ahead of it and succeed. God bless you. Talk soon and may God be with us all. Thank you, Jesus.